good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live on news up at Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Y and beyond. Coming up this evening, Ghana's official creditors to meet on Monday to discuss the next steps in securing the next tranche of the IMF money. That's $600 million from that particular deal. We have details for you here on Hot Edition. Also, the new Patriotic Party wraps up its vetting process ahead of the parliamentary primaries later this month. We have details for you as well. I'll take you around the regions across the country to give you an idea of how things played out. And later on, political hierarchy, friends and family bid farewell to the late Council of State member Enoch Amponsah. We have details for you, plus the latest in business, sports and entertainment coming up over the next 60 minutes here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. I am Alfred Ocansey. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook and also on X at 3FM 927. Let's get into the details now. Ghana's official creditors are scheduled to meet on Monday to discuss restructuring some $5.4 billion in loans to the country. Three sources told Reuters news agency a key step needed to secure its next tranche of funding from the International Monetary Fund. The bilateral lenders, including the government of China and France, who co-chair the official creditor committee, hold around a quarter of Ghana's $20 billion external debt earmarked for restructuring. The meeting is again expected to focus on an agreement about a cutoff date, the date after which new loans from bilateral creditors will not be restructured. The sources with knowledge of the matter said defining this date has also emerged as a stumbling block for Ghana in its debt rework. Now, some creditors are said to prefer December 31 as a cutoff point for, that's December 31, 2022, as a cutoff date, with Ghana having defaulted earlier that month, according to sources. But there's a particular development. If you recall, the finance minister telling my colleague Martin Isido that earlier, that's in December, about the timelines for this particular IMF money. Take a listen.
Up is the conclusion of the discussions that the OCC is having in the Paris Club, which is co-chaired by France and China. I think at this point, discussions about the cutoff date and therefore comparability of treatment of all of the credit that is in there. And I think that's technical discussions, but we are very confident that will come through, because I think Ghana, as the IMF managing director said, has paid its dues with a very strong domestic exchequer program, and really all of the QPCs and indicative targets and structural benchmark have been achieved. So we will get there. I think the Paris Club, the OCC, will get through what they are doing.
And how has the conversation with the external creditors been like? We're told it's probably one of the reasons why there seemed to be a delay in, the final board approval. Is that the case?
No, that's completely delinked. The board at IMF looks to good faith discussions going on of the external creditors. And good faith, I think I went through London maybe October 16th or so, in which we met with maybe 500 of them, physical and virtual, in which we gave the broad contours of what we'll be looking to discuss, meaning a 20-year maximum in terms of the term, less than 5% interest, and also a haircut of about 20 to 40%. So we laid that out. Since then, we've gotten illustrative scenarios from the advisors, and I think we now have a common framework for the DSA in which there's agreement on. So we need to continue with those discussions. But clearly Ghana has done its part. OCC has been good. May 19th, we saw what they did. They are continuing very healthy discussions. So I think we'll be all right.
So that's the finance minister saying Ghana will be all right. But is that really the real picture of the situation on the ground? Professor Godfrey Boakye is a professor of finance and also with the University of Ghana Business School, joining us on the telephone for a conversation on this. Professor Godfrey Bopping, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Yes, good evening. Happy New Year.
Many
and
happy
good evening
returns.
to all our cherished listeners and viewers.
Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us. You heard the finance minister ending with the words that we will be all right. Now we're hearing of a certain meeting on Monday to discuss these $5.4 billion dollars of the loans that have to be restructured according to some three sources that Reuters has quoted. Are we going to be all right? Is everything okay?
Well, I think that, yes, we can say that we are getting closer, that there is still uncertainty because the goalposts have been shifted one too many. We have been at this for a very long time, from when the staff level agreement was reached with the first review in October last year. It has been a while, and therefore one would say that the scheduled meeting for Monday is crucial, at least to the extent that the parties are coming to the common table. The IMF has made it clear, even though it is not expressly captured in the program document, that every program review would only be approved by the board upon some commitment from our creditors, but we can also infer from the way the whole program financing arrangement is designed, especially in terms of balance of payment support. So you see that the bulk of the financing in translating the program objectives into actual is actually coming from external creditors. So the total balance of payment financing gap of $15 billion, about $10.5 billion of that is expected to come from external creditors. And that is huge. And one can understand why the IMF is unwilling to approve the program with the first review without external creditors walking their talk. This is also significant because the whole program itself, after the staff level agreement was reached on December 12, 2022, it took a while because the IMF had made procuring of financing assurance from our external bilateral a condition precedent to approving the program. And therefore, that tells you how significant the external debt relief is within the whole scheme of the IMF supported program. So, but I think the tricky issue there has to do with the cutoff date, right, of March 2020 versus December 2022, and the total debt, external debt as at the end of March 2020, and then December 2022, and then the composition, given that this common framework is actually a successor to the debt service suspension initiative that was announced by the G20 in response to COVID-19, you realize that the discussion perhaps is a bit tricky, but the good news is that the parties are coming to the table, and this has to do with just external bilateral. Okay, the IMF has made it clear that the first review will go to the board when an agreement is reached within the external bilateral being handled by the official creditor committee co-chaired by China and France. Once that is done, then we can look at the external commercial where we will talk about the Eurobond. So I think that these are significant steps, but we cannot say we have a deal to celebrate. Even if we have a deal, there's still a lot that we have to do in terms of reaching agreement with external commercial when it comes to Eurobonds. And actually that is where we expect a lot of relief to also come from, because our external commercial in terms of Eurobonds is far bigger, almost twice that of the external bilateral. So we still have a lot of ground that we have to cover.
See, and based on the grounds that we have to cover, what are the timelines? Because I'm reading as well some persons talking about we getting the next tranche of the money, that's 600 million coming in by the first week of February, because all things being equal, we will reach an agreement with the external creditors before the end of the month?
Well, I think that what is important now is we reaching the agreement. The IMF board is a working board. So once the agreement is reached, it will not be difficult for them to schedule Ghana's document for board approval. So, and of course, the issue is that we set timeline, and we have to be able to keep to them. But I think what is important now is to see to a successful outcome with the Monday meeting, and once agreement is reached, it will not take long for the IMF board to meet. Remember that when it comes to the IMF, they would have been doing their part by now, because it will not be appropriate and professional that the IMF wouldn't do their part, only waiting for the external bilateral to reach agreement before they also do their part. So my expectation is that the fund will also be working concurrently, making sure that Ghana's document is up to date, and once the agreement is reached, the meeting can happen within days. And also, after, it happens with respect to the program approval itself. If you recall, last year, that after the staff level agreement was reached on December 12, 2022, the financing assurance was obtained, I think, on May 13, 2023. So once the financing assurance was obtained from the external bilateral, the fund actually takes our meeting for May 17, which really wasn't on the calendar in terms of scheduled meeting. But this is a working board, right? It's not like the usual corporate board where they meet once in a quarter. This is a working board. So once your document is ready, it will not be so complicated in having a meeting. So my understanding is that in terms of the necessary staff review, reports, and all of that, the fund will be updating all of that in anticipation of Ghana securing agreements within the external bilateral with external bilateral creditors.
We'll see how the coming days will look like on this matter, but I do really appreciate your time. And one of the things, maybe, Professor Boakye, before I let you go, what has been the impact of this delay in getting this money on the economy? Because if it had come in, obviously, there would be some ripple effect. And the timing as well was factored into planning for a number of things, including some of the expenditure even within the budget. So what has been the impact?
There will certainly be some delays when it comes to budget execution. Remember that there are certain projects that have stalled simply because all these negotiations are ongoing. And therefore, the issue is that in trying to maybe restore confidence, all this uncertainty does not bode well with restoring confidence in the economy. Because nobody likes uncertainty. I mean, businesses, investors, nobody prefers uncertainty. We all prefer relative certainty and predictability. So the delay and all of that is certainly not good. But let's also bear in mind that we know that without the agreement with external creditors, especially external bilateral, even the IMF had given us the $600 million last year, it wouldn't achieve much. Because if you look at the way the program is designed, in the first year of the program implementation, Ghana is expected to receive approximately $3 billion from external debt relief. So the external debt relief actually is programmed to bring in $10.5 billion over the next 3 years. That is giving us an average relief annually of about $3.5 billion, which is actually more than how much we will get from the IMF over a 3-year period. So you see that this IMF 17 IMF-supported program, the burden of financing the program is heavily on creditors rather than the IMF itself, rather than the World Bank and our multilateral institutions, which in itself is not helping with the negotiation. The IMF that is putting pressure on China and then other external creditors, bilateral, commercial, the IMF and the World Bank and the African Development Bank and the European Central Bank, they have decided to exclude their debt while they are imposing through the debt sustainability analysis, which is a bedrock under the G20 Common Framework, is imposing onerous burden on creditors. And yet the IMF is not taking any haircut. And I think that is not fair. That is not good for burden sharing. That is not good for harmonization. And already you can understand why China has been uncomfortable all this while because of the way the debt composition and then the refinancing arrangement that the IMF and the World Bank have done to favor multilateral institutions. Meanwhile, there are other multilateral institutions within China that have not been given similar treatment. So there isn't total fairness, and I don't think that the IMF has moral authority to actually enforce the G20 because you are not taking a haircut. You are not burden sharing. And therefore, I think going forward, we need to look at that. This is quite different from the debt restructuring that we saw in the early 2000s with EPIC, which was more bilateral. And then the second component, which was the multilateral debt relief initiative, which roped in the IMF and the World Bank and the African Development Bank, for which Ghana obtained significant debt relief after the end of 2006.
Very detailed there. And Professor Godfrey Bobkin, I really do appreciate your time. I thank you so much for joining us on this one. Thank you, sir.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bless you too. Professor Godfrey Bobkin is a professor of finance at the University of Ghana Business School, joining us with his thoughts on this. But the vetting for parliamentary aspirants in the governing New Patriotic Party is expected to end today across the country. In the Eastern Region, we start off where the Majority Chief Whip and Member of Parliament for the Nsawam Jerry constituency, Frank Anodompre, has vowed to teach his two opponents a political lesson come January 27 during the primaries. He has two persons to contend with: Hayford Siao, who is the CEO of the Ghana Library Authority, and also David Edu Tutu Jr. Listen to what the contenders have been saying in this constituency.
I can tell you, I am going to win this. It's going to be the easiest primary, Samako. And especially the oil and no pan, I'm going to teach him a political lesson of his life. It's anybody who is talking and is saying he's going to win, just keep quiet and see. 27th, we have just about 3 weeks. 3 weeks, we watch and see. My grassroots job, politicking, police station, region, national. I know this party in and out. And if you go down Kasache and so on, for what they are saying, that they've seen the mammoth infrastructure outlay that is going on. And therefore, they are not going back. They will not build a member of parliament to become a chief whip. There can also be a chief whip who need relevance. So big sir, you see, you'll be myopic to say that, okay, the last time votes to drop here and therefore I'm going to win. Senior we
he can continue to say that.
And therefore, they are not going back. They will not build a member of parliament to become a chief whip. There can also be a chief whip who need relevance. So big sir, you see, you'll be myopic to say that, okay, the last time votes to drop here and therefore I'm going to win. Senior we
he can continue to say that. What is important for me is that on the 27th of January, 70% of the delegates of Nsawam Region are going to vote for Hayford as the next parliamentary candidate.
So then Nsawam Region is one of the many consensus in the Eastern Region to watch. Let's get a bit more into this. And our Eastern Regional correspondent, Yvonne Nikwe, who's been monitoring the process for the entire period, is joining us on the telephone. Yvonne, what more do we know about especially the happenings in the Nsawam Region constituency where we just had the persons contesting?
Well, Alfred, it promises to be an exciting contest come January 27. We'll be actually looking out for exactly if the two contenders will be able to unseat the majority chief whip based on what you've seen their supporters, or probably what the delegates and the residents in those constituencies would have to say. It's been a very fierce morning, seeing them move about right after the vetting proceedings. And so, yes, it promises to be a quite exciting contest in that particular constituency, especially with the back-to-back conversation of if indeed the majority chief whip should be allowed to go unopposed, several press conferences from the chiefs, residents, and everybody. But at last, he has contenders to deal with on that particular day. And before you go, there's been a new event coming up by close of today's vetting. Before the Adaeso constituency just had the MP, incumbent MP for the area, Kofi Adum, going. But one more contender was supposed to go with him. Today, as I speak to you, has withdrawn from the race. And so that particular constituency too would go unopposed for the elections come January 27th.
I see. What about the disqualified aspirants? Have we recorded any in the Eastern region as far as you do know?
Yes. Officially, the only aspirant that has been disqualified for the Eastern region as the contender for the Deputy Trade and Industry Ministry for the New Job and South constituency, Ruth Ansa Safari. She's been disqualified according to the committee based on issues of personations and all of that. So officially, that's the only disqualification. What we do have more are two persons who have had their issues withheld. One would have to seek judgment from a disciplinary committee, specifically for the Etiakum South constituency where Obiamwa is still in the race. The DC cannot go again unless the MP withdraws before the December date. Otherwise, the Eastern region doesn't have any more highlights from those I've mentioned.
Appreciate your time as always. Yvonne, thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome.
Yvonne Nikwe is our Eastern Regional correspondent. Let's go to the what has been described as the World Bank of the NPP, the Ashanti Region. There's been a lot of activity there with respect to the attempts to have persons disqualified, and then also some of the concerns that have been raised by these persons who will be caught up in all of this. William Evans Inkom is my colleague there and is connecting with us. William, appreciate your time as always. And you've been monitoring this process all throughout the period. What can you say about the first of all, the issues of disqualifications that some of the persons who were caught in it were challenging that the party to have it overturned? What's the latest?
All right, so Pabna Ado Amankwa, one of the contestants who was actually competing with Matthew Opoku-Pempe, has been disqualified. He has been disqualified because he didn't even have a voter's ID card in the first place, meaning he hasn't been voting for a period of time. So by extension, the Constitution of the Republic, he doesn't qualify to represent the party at the parliamentary level. Then, of course, if you're looking at Article 12 of the party's constitution, it also bars him from contesting in any of the internal elections by the ruling New Patriotic Party. So he was disqualified at Burton yesterday after going through his documentation. There wasn't any official petition to the party from any party, but going through his documentation, the vetting committee realized that he doesn't fit to represent the party at any level as far as internal and external elections are concerned. So the news is that Pabna Ado Amankwa will not be part of the Menchia style political competition. So it's going to be a straight fight between the energy minister, who is the incumbent member of parliament, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Pempe, and Penaman, the former constituency women's organizer.
William Evans, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
William Evans was our Northern Bureau Chief there, monitoring the situation in the Ashanti region. But this is Matthew Opoku-Pempe, and the matters arising in that particular constituency with respect to his contender who has been disqualified.
There's Menchia staff. Menchia staff, we received, so there were three contestants. There's Menchia staff, we received, so there were three contestants. The Honorable the Energy Minister, Honorable Dr. Matthew Opoku-Pempe, Then there's one Kwabena Ado Amankwa, and then Helena Pinaman Owusu. These were the three contestants, or candidates, if you like, aspiring candidates. When we vetted them, of course, there was no petition. So the Honorable Energy Minister was cleared. He acquitted himself. But the committee commended him for a yeoman job. He's done so much for the party and the constituency and across the nation and all of that. He distinguished himself, one of the most visible politicians in Ashanti Region and beyond, of course. So that was for Matthew Opoku Prempeh, doctor. Then the Helena Pinaman Owusu, she's the immediate past constituency women's organizer for Menshia. So obviously, being the immediate past constituency women organizer, you hardly have issues with them because you're somebody that had gone through the party's internal processes and was cleared and has been a constituency officer. So we really didn't have much against her. There was no also petition against her. So she was also cleared. Then the third person, Kwabena Ado Amankwa. Kwabena Ado Amankwa, we didn't receive any petition against him. But when we interrogated his form, there were a lot of anomalies. First and foremost, we realized that he's not a registered voter. He has not attached his voter's ID card. Because as part of the rules of engagement, you're supposed to attach certain documents. So he didn't have the voter's ID card. Then when we asked him, he said he actually doesn't have it at all. And in fact, he confirmed that he's never voted in the country. In 2016, he didn't vote in the national elections. 2020, he didn't vote. And even 2012, he didn't vote. So from all indications, he's not a registered voter. And he admitted on record.
So that's what's happening there. And according to the secretary of the vetting panel, Edi Muhayuddin, giving details of what led to the one of the contenders in that particular constituency with Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh as an incumbent member of parliament being disqualified. Now, that's the development there in the Ashanti region. You've heard what's happening in the Eastern region as well. Now, here in the Greater Accra region, a state burial has been held at the forecourt of the State House in Accra for the late Enoch Amponsah, the former member of the Council of State and member of parliament for the Ningo Pram constituency, died in South Africa at the age of 77. Judith Brown was at the funeral earlier today.
A solemn mood it was as the family of the late Enoch Amponsah paid their final respects to him at the forecourt of the State House. Along with them were leaders and members of the National Democratic Congress, the party which he served throughout his time in government. As a former youth and sports minister as well as the longest-serving member of parliament for Ningo Pram constituency, E.T. Mensah was remembered for the impact he made both to the party, his constituents, and Ghana as a whole.
A man like E.T. is impossible to be tied down to one ministry. From sports, E.T. also served as the Minister of Water Resources and later Works and Housing under the late President J.A. Mills. Our E.T. was not only a minister, he was also a lawmaker, and in 1996, he became elected as the MP for Ningo Pram, and he diligently served in that position for 5 consecutive terms. He left a gaping hole in the party, which will take time and effort to fill. Even as we mourn him, we also celebrate him, for he was truly a great man for all seasons.
For his wife and children, his demise has created a deep scar that will take a while to heal.
On the eve of his passing, he requested I read Psalms 91, 1, and 23. The following day, I was away. I received a devastating call. Rushing back to the hospital, I was met with the unbearable truth. My husband, my love, my everything had slipped away. The void he left is immeasurable.
Your absence has left a void that cannot be filled. Your memory remains an everlasting hymn in our hearts. But amidst this loss, we find solace and strength in the remarkable woman who stood by your side from the beginning, our beloved mother, Grandma Mary.
And for the Council of State, E.T. Mensah will continue to be a true statesman.
E.T. Mensah has gone home, guided by his faith and by the light of those he has loved and lost. At last, he is with them once more, leaving those of us who grieve his passing with the memories he gave and the good he did.
E.T. Mensah died in South Africa at the age of 77 after a short illness.
So may his soul rest in perfect peace there. And as we are here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, we're also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Now, in the midst of the Harmattan season, characterized by dry and dusty weather conditions, there's a concerning rise in upper respiratory tract infections. Now, these viral illnesses are flourishing in the current environment, posing particular threats to individuals with pre-existing respiratory conditions such as asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. The arid weather characteristic of the Harmattan provides an ideal breathing ground for viruses, paving the way for their proliferation. But Dr. Thomas Anaba, who is Executive Director of the Africa Center for Health Policy, Research and Analysis, has been professing some solutions to the challenge.
Is to take a lot of liquid and hydrate ourselves very well. Because the weather is cold, people tend not to drink water. But the cold weather and the dry atmosphere causes us to dehydrate. In that way, blood is not circulating well, the defense system is not working well. So people need to take a lot of water in their system, a lot of liquid in their system to cause proper hydration, and then the rest. Vitamin C comes in handy to help with those who have chronic lung diseases, and then those who have immune deficiency, so that they can boost up their immunity, because the viruses circulating in the air would rejoice if your immunity is down, so they can easily affect you and you get very, very ill. Sometimes this little cold can lead you to get sinusitis, congestive nasal infection, and the sinuses will get infected. It can lead you to get bronchitis. It goes deep into the lungs and cause a pneumonia, and even sometimes can cause some facial paralysis. We call it herpes zoster, and you get your mouth twitching to one side and then the rest. Your eyelids can become very dry, and your eyes can even be paining you as well. So I think that proper precaution, like I've mentioned, would come in handy, and going early to the hospital to report to doctors of your symptoms that are not improving, or else, especially the elderly and those who have asthma, who have heart problems, you go early to doctors to make sure they examine you to rule out any possibility of developing a pneumonia.
Oh, so that's Dr. Thomas Anaba there, and that's one thing you should also take precaution against. Now, let's take issues with the health and medical situations. One person has been arrested at Gomoa, Dominasi, in connection with the attacks on the Portin Polyclinic. A number of youth, numbering about 200, allegedly attacked and vandalized the Portin Polyclinic over the death of a relative who was seeking medical care at the facility. Now, thankfully, we're going to be joined on the telephone by the medical doctor at the Portin Polyclinic, Dr. Vlad Jerry. Give us a bit more detail on exactly what happened and what the way forward is with respect to the investigations into this rather unfortunate incident. While we're trying to get him on the telephone, there's been happenings related to men's gold and matters arising. And shortly, we will get to that right now. And let's go on to the telephone and have a quick conversation with the situation in that particular area, specifically the Gomoa Dominasi area, where there was an attack on the Portin Polyclinic. And Dr. Vlad Jerry is joining us. Doc, thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition. First of all, I want to establish this. What is the state of security presently in and around the polyclinic?
Thank you very much, Victoria and Alfred Ocansey. As we speak now, calm has been restored and work is going on unabated. Service is being delivered to all manner of patients that are working and seeking health care.
I see, but how about the damage that was caused to the polyclinic as a result of the attacks a couple of days ago? Can you just give us an idea of the extent of damage as we speak?
Okay, the logistical items that were damaged involved laptop, some chairs, some glass window partitions, and a range of, utility items. And gracefully, the Honorable DC of Gomwa, the Honorable Solomon Dako Kwam, was gracious enough to extend a hand of benevolence to us, and he's promised to help absorb some part of the cost of these items. So we have submitted them to his office as of yesterday, and he's called that he'll be addressing some part of it. We are hoping that the other arrested gentlemen, or assailants, should I say, that inflicted this injury to the facility would maybe be held responsible and come to pay for the damages to government property.
See, now talk about especially the people who did this. Have you had any collaboration or some invitation by the District Security Council to help with the investigations into exactly what happened?
Yes, yesterday as we were in this facility during the ensuing melee, the superintendent of the police service, that's the commander, he was at the facility with his men. The DC himself, who is the chief of DISEC, that's the District Security Council, was also here. So they effected an arrest, that's the police command, and the nurses or the staff on duty that were assaulted were sent to the police station to take their statements. Medical reports were issued on their behalf, and we are just awaiting how the law will take its course.
And for the people who are listening to us in the area, the assurance is that they can come to the hospital, they are assured of their safety.
Very well. So I think the threat mainly was to the staff of the facility and not to the inhabitants. It were the staff who felt threatened by virtue of the threat to them by the Iran youth or the mob. So the people have been coming, they are not prepared, they are not worried. They've been offering us support messages. For the staff, we'll be able to allay their fears, and the police have promised us a 1 week 24-hour security coverage to protect them during the course of their work. On the flip side, we have security men who are exposed, and we're also taking our personal security very cautiously as we speak.
And I do thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Welcome, Alfred Ocansey. Thank you.
That's Dr. Vlad Jerry. He is a medical doctor at the Potin Polyclinic in Gomwa, Dominase, joining us there. This is Hot Edition, and we're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Now, the men's gold, aggrieved men's gold customers have also been reacting to a statement by another group who say that there's some $39 million to be given to Nana Mensah, popularly known as Nam1, in Dubai. So government of Ghana should help him retrieve the said money. Now, take a listen to Maurice Ampa, who's counsel for the other group of men's gold customers.
Are gone. We are calling on the government to help men's gold and Nam1 to retrieve their lost investments at Dubai. Nam1 too invested in gold in Dubai, and he want to recover that one to give it to those customers who have also lost their investments. But the truth of the matter is that some of them have been paid, and those who paid, why didn't they go to court? They were paid without court processes, and the evidence is before the court. Nobody can challenge me. So if some have been able to get their money not through court processes, why do we have to wait before we retrieve our money? So I am calling on the government of the day, and I believe that every presidential candidate should convince us. Every presidential candidate, I'm calling on President Mahama, Baumia, and anybody who is a presidential candidate, come and convince us as to how you help us retrieve the money. But at the same time, you also know that the court has given almost by the end of March to finish the case, and so we don't have time. So we are calling on President Baumia to intervene Whilst the prosecution is going on, the judge have said that there can be out of court settlement. So once the prosecution is going on, they should allow number one to go to Dubai and retrieve his investment and come and pay men's good cosmet. Simplicity. That's all that we are calling for.
Simplicity. So at this point.
So that's Maurice Ampau, who is a private legal practitioner and lawyer for another group of men's gold customers. Some 17 minutes to of the hour here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. Also on W93.5 in Y and beyond. Right after this, we go for business. Stay with us.
Your ultimate turn-up MC. Friday nights can make or break your weekend. It's why I come your way with spanking new music. Vibes on vibes. I'm feeling vibes on vibes. Party on the block. Fun interviews and Wall of Fame game with your favorite artists that will make you go, whoa! Lock the details. Fridays, 7 p.m. on 3FM 92.7 is the block party. Leg out.
I wake up early every weekday because of you, to keep you on top of your game. Yeah!
The desire to bring you the content that will help you make informed choices throughout the week pushes me to leave home early.
You are at the center of our universe. That's why we make it a duty to serve you only the freshest, hottest news and entertainment. When you want it, where you want it.
Start your day well informed. Start with us on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Catch the all-new Sunrise Morning Show on 3FM 92.7 with me, Johnny Hughes, Helen Obiambofo, William Asiedu, weekdays from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on 3FM 92.7.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
From the Victoria Falls of Zimbabwe, the Table Mountains of South Africa, the pyramids of Egypt, the enchanting landscape of Zanzibar, to the breathtaking view on top of Mountain Kilimanjaro, we say
Karibu,
Sendezua,
Ikabo,
Akwaba. Come with me on an enlightening journey through Africa on Beats Africa on 3FM 92.7. Together, let's uncover the hidden secrets of our beautiful continent. What makes us diverse, unique, and a major stakeholder to global development. I'm Miriam. Join me and my exciting guests on Beats Africa every Sunday from 3 to 5 p.m. on 3FM 92.7.
Morocco, we don't know what is yam. When I came here, I was like, this is yam. I was like, what is this?
In Suriname. Link up from around the world via Facebook at 3FM 92.7 or 3news.com. Beats Africa on 3FM 92.7 with me, Miriam. Sundays 3 to 5 p.m. on 3FM 92.7. An absolute thrilling African experience.
Live and die in Africa. I wanna live and die in Africa.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the business segment here on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, Director of Academic Planning and Quality Assurance at GIMPA, Professor Ebenezer Bugia, now for calls on President Akufo-Addo to appoint the Auditor General to audit GRA/SML deal. We'll bring you the details shortly. I'm Michael Obodu. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying. Now, straight into our top story now. Acting Commissioner of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, Alhaji Idrissa Seidu, has commended the customs officers in Tema for their role in achieving the 2023 revenue targets of the Ghana Revenue Authority amidst global economic challenges. He spoke during a review of the annual awards parade for senior and junior officers at the Tema Collection of Customs Division in Tema of the Greater Accra Region.
working officers for their selflessness and dedication during their various duties in generating revenue targets for the government at the Tema collection sector of the Customs Division. The acting commissioner commended the Tema collection sector for meeting their revenue targets of 24 billion cedis in 2023 amidst global economic challenges.
We all know this year, for those of us in international trade, this year was a very challenging year. We had all the targeted volumes of trade were not met. The volumes of goods that came to Tema was less than what was expected. But I'm so happy even you have given some awards to those in charge of enforcement. Because of the enforcement measures we did, we were able to get in Tema here 24.4 billion out of that. And generally speaking, DRA was able to achieve the national target of 109 billion.
That report was put together by our Tema correspondent Kelvin Owusu-Ansah. Now to our top story. As Director of Academic Planning and Quality Assurance at GIMPA, Professor Ebenezer Bugrya-Nafo has reiterated calls for President Akufo-Addo to withdraw KPMG from auditing the GRA SML deal and appoint the Auditor General instead. This comes on the back of conflicts of interest concerns raised by the general public over KPMG's appointment. Shadrach Sirfi has the rest of the story.
On January 2, 2024, President Akufo-Addo ordered the immediate suspension of the revenue assurance contract between the Ghana Revenue Authority (GRA) and Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited (SML), and appointed KPMG to conduct an immediate audit of the transaction. This decision has come under public scrutiny, with experts calling for its reversal.
The president's idea of making or appointing KPMG to audit this deal, to me, it is conflict of interest. And the report they are going to produce is not something that we can, we can rely on it. Because KPMG serves as financial advisors to GRA. So how then do you appoint the same KPMG who serves as financial advisors to GRA to audit them? So how independent will that audit be? The right institution to do this assignment would have been the Auditor General. So the question we'll be asking is that why do the President bypass the Auditor General and give this assignment to KPMG to audit?
Professor Anafo argues that Ghana has equally competent public institutions, such as the Auditor General's Office.
If it is not too late, I will advise that the President should withdraw it and rather appoint the Auditor General to do this assignment, so that we can all know that what will be the report that will come out with. It will be an independent report, that we can all trust and know that it is a report produced by our own institution, set up by our Constitution.
So that was Director of Academic Planning and Quality Assurance at GIMPA, Professor Ebenezer Bugrya-Nafo, ending Shadrach Srifi's report. Now, finally, the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry has voiced concerns over the recent rise in cement prices, labeling it as detrimental to ongoing projects. Trades and Industry Minister Katie Hammond expressed worry regarding the decision of cement producers and importers to increase prices, citing the government's provision of a conducive operating environment for them. In an interview with 3 Business, the CEO of the chamber, Enoch Cherry, emphasized that this escalation presents a significant setback, substantially inflating the operational costs for contractors across the country.
Whilst we are thinking of how to find solutions to our problems of government-heavy indebtedness to contractors, this morning we are being slapped with another cement increase in the market, 4 cedis per bag across board. That tells you that all contractors who will be going back to site to do their various works, either to complete or to continue their project works for government or other clients, automatically need to find additional 4 cedis per bag to end up boosting their capability or capacity in constructing those particular projects. That tells you that either the contractor will abandon site and go for renegotiation of the quantities in the bill, or the clients quickly will come to his aid and compensate the contractor with that price hike. If not so, if the contractor should go ahead with this particular project, automatically he's going to run a loss because...
So here that the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry, Enoch Amponsah, bringing an end to the business segment here on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next is sports, and Kelvin is on standby.
Let's get into the latest in the world of sports. My name is Kelvin Oswans, starting from the Black Stars. And we've had an update on Iñaki Williams, who has joined the Black Stars squad and has already started preparations ahead of the AFCON together with other players. They were at the gym to continue their preparations ahead of the competition. Ghana will play Namibia on Monday, the 9th of January, before moving to Cote d'Ivoire on the 10th of January to continue their preparations and play their first game against Cape Verde in the African Nations Cup. Well, coach is also expecting Mohamed Kudus, and he hasn't arrived yet. Chris Houghton has given an update on when Kudus is expected to be part of the team.
Mohamed Kudus, who I think we are expecting him to join the group hopefully in a few days. He has a very slight injury issue that just needs to be dealt with before he joins camp. But we're hopeful of having him very shortly.
Hopeful of having him very shortly. Now let's move on to some other stories. And there's been a ban for RTA after their disturbances and making that is a match commissioner fall down, collapsing on the halftime whistle in Tamale as they defeated Mediama SC 1-0 last Wednesday. So indefinitely they've been banned from the Aliyu Muhammad Stadium. Now some bets on the English FA Cup, and Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola updates on his men who are available for that particular match. Rodri will be unavailable because of the death of his grandmother. He will be moving to Spain. And there is an update on the injury list regarding Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland.
The last 2-3 training sessions train with us, so Jeremy feels really good. Kevin as well. Of course, Kevin was a long time, so the physical condition need time, so you have to be patient and exactly give the right minutes for him, for Jeremy as well, of course. And Erling also a little bit better as a bone, so that's why I had to be a little bit more carefully. But 2 training sessions, 2-3 have done. The day after feels good. They are improving, so hopefully, I don't know for Sunday, but for, I don't know, Newcastle, but for the rest we'll be ready.
For the rest, they are going to be ready for the game. Liverpool will also miss the services of Mohamed Salah as well as Wataru Endo, who are making commitment to their national teams. Salah is joining Egypt for the AFCON, and Wataru Endo also joining Japan for the Asian Cup, which begins on the 15th of January. They are going to miss Dominic Szoboszlai this weekend as they play against Arsenal. He is also injured.
Yeah, muscle, hamstring, but now we have to see. Very positive, doesn't have a lot of pain, but we have to wait a little bit, so no chance obviously for Sunday, not for, what is it then, Wednesday? No, and then we will see after that. Hopefully he might be back, but we don't know. Besides that, nothing else. The rest was yesterday available and fully fit, so let's hope that's today the same, and then we will have to make a choice.
Well, they would have to make a choice on which players are available. That will be all for sports this evening on Hot Edition. My name is Kelvin Oswanta. Kofa comes your way with entertainment.
Thank you for keeping your dial on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. It's now time for the entertainment news segment powered by 3 Entertainment. My name is Akofa. Mrs. Felicia Resia Bani-Ansah, Ghana's first female professional photographer and a former president of the Association of Professional Photographers Ghana, has died in Accra. She was 87. She left behind a legacy that goes beyond her outstanding contributions to the field of photography. In addition to shattering stereotypes as a female photographer, Mrs. Aban was a role model for aspiring industry professionals during her illustrious career. She formerly held the prestigious office of President of the Association of Professional Photographers Ghana, which is proof to her leadership and knowledge. The late Mrs. Aban was a prominent family member who made a lasting impact on many aspects of Ghanaian society. She was the sister of well-known people, including J.K.E. Ansah, Tumi Ansah, and the late Kofi Ansah. The details of the funeral will be revealed later. May her soul rest in peace. Now, away from that, data provided by the Guinness World Record reveals a remarkable trend in record applications from Ghana. Since July 2023, there have been a total of 355 applications from individuals in Ghana alone, indicating a significant upswing in record-breaking aspirations. Now, the surge, according to them, was particularly notable in December 2023 with 251 applications, and this momentum has continued into January 2024 with an additional 80 applications thus far. Now, commenting on this remarkable development, a spokesperson from the Guinness World Record, Alina Polianskaya, said, quote, "It has been amazing to see the enthusiasm for record breaking in the past year, and we look forward to seeing even more success to come." She, however, emphasized that only a few applications can become records. For context, only a small percentage of applications go on to become records, with around 95% of applications not converting to records. Now, speaking of records being broken, Chef Failatu is on day 5 of her cookathon attempt. Now, she's done 104 hours and counting of cooking. Now, finally, before I leave, American rapper Ja Rule is following in the footsteps of American-based Ghanaian comedian Michael Blackson by building a school in Ghana. The Grammy-nominated rapper shared the exciting news via his X account earlier this week. The post reads, "I'm also building a school in Ghana. Can't wait to go and break ground. Rule, love the kids." Now, while the details and location of the school is yet to be revealed, Ja Rule is excited about this venture and is looking forward to it. This, however, will not be Ja Rule's first encounter with Ghana. In 2008, he was flown into the country to perform at the MTN Ghana Music Awards celebrations. Now, that ends it for the entertainment news segment here on Hot Edition, powered by 3 Entertainment. My name is Akofa. Thank you for your time. Keep your dial locked on. 3FM 92.7, the 3FM Drive team continues.